Yo, what's up guys? Let's talk about a random topic. Is Dark Aragon the strongest unit of all times? Because currently in the current meta, he's absolutely a menace. Like if we're checking out the win rates right now, we haven't had too many units on this high a win rate. So he's currently looking at a 53.9, but he's actually on a 2.2% higher, which makes him a 56.1% win rate while having a 24.6 pick rate in the highest rank, which is insane. That also does kind of mean that everyone that does have a Dark Aragon seems to be ending up in G3 more or less. But if we check out lower ranks, throughout all ranks, he is the highest win rate unit. So he's very consistent at doing that. Also, if we check out the top players, like I don't really care about the players that have like 73 matches with a high win rate unit because they didn't play that much. But if you're like 300 matches in, 60% win rate, or even 330 matches in with a 66% win rate, that is absolutely insane for a particular unit. Also, if we look at the top by heart, I think that this is a spammer of Aragon. This one is. True, I'm not sure. Pretty sure Nicholas was. These three, I'm also kind of sure Tyrion is. So if we check over here, most picked unit, Dark Aragon for #1 player. Most picked units on the second one over here, Dark Aragon once again. On the next one, Dark Aragon, most picked unit with also his highest win rate for Yan Hong. Turi, what do we have? Aragon, most picked unit once again. Nicholas, most picked unit. Aragon once again. Truewill, do you have it? True actually does not have it. Sphinx, do you have it? Sphinx does not have it. I think that this guy, yep, also once again Dark Aragon with also higher win rate than all of his other units. And Turi also does have it, also first picked unit or most picked unit. So that just kind of shows that from the whole top 10 that I just pretty much clicked on, well, I clicked on top 12, at least half of them, or even more. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So yeah, half of them exactly are Dark Aragon spammers as most used unit. That makes a unit in particular very, very strong. If you're not familiar with the unit, the main thing that makes him really strong is a multi-hit increased cooldown. Some people did ask me before, it's like, why is this stronger than a Changpeng? Well, Changpeng has to have a condition of 0 attack bar on the enemy to increase cooltime. This thing right away starts increasing cooltime, plus it's an HP damage scaler and therefore has a lot more HP to work with and not die as fast as a Changpeng. And also that skill too, lowering the cooldown, giving death breaks, all of that good stuff. It's just a really good skill in the first place. But then the big question, is he the strongest unit ever compared to a Veronica Prime or a Gurkha on Prime Time? Well, let's find that out. And there are a bunch of these sites that track the data, and not all of the sites have all of the data because this one just goes back to season 36, for example. And if we're checking season 36 highest win rate, what do we have over there? It was more of an Irration than a Dark Aragon. Dark Aragon wasn't really figured out or maybe not picked up as much right now. Also, fun fact, you cannot even pull a Dark Aragon right now. But it seems to be that everyone has the unit or something. I don't know. However, on this side, SW Arena GG, we can go through times a bit more. We're going to be selecting G3 data as much as possible. Every time I kind of have to play around with like how many number of the matches are going to be interesting. As of recently, SW Arena GG doesn't really calculate that or like gather that much data. So for the current season, it doesn't show as much. But if we're going to go towards season 36, for example, and then we select those numbers, and then we actually have to crank it up kind of to the point where it's at least like 5-ish% pick rate, because anything below 5% pick rate, it's not really that much of like, oh, that was super crazy or anything going on. But funny enough, season 36 actually did have some units standing out a lot. And this was the season where I would say 2 units definitely did stand out for being maybe the strongest of all times. Fenton was doing very well, but Fenton was also very much Irration carried. So I would honestly almost more give this to the Irration on a 50 pick rate, being that strong. But then again, 58 win rate on a 6% pick rate, I cannot ignore that. So let's actually just mention both of them. So we have Fenton season 36, 58.11 on a 6 pick rate. Irration on 36, also a 53 on a 50 pick rate, which both of them very insane. Let's move on to some next season. Season 35, what do we have? Once again, gotta select the G3 data. That was the time of Hwoarang, and Hwoarang was doing real good in G3, so that's definitely one to mention out there as well, which was season 35, and we're looking at a 55.36 on an 8.75, which that is good numbers. That is definitely really good numbers. Not necessarily like beating the Aragon, which is pretty much 3 times picked as much while having a higher win rate. It is absolutely a thing right there. But it's good numbers. Was he strong in season 34? I'm not sure about that. I do have to click the G3 data every time. No, it was actually weaker over here. It was not figured out as much over here. It was more of like a Laura season than anything else. But this Laura win rate, it's decent, but it's not really. I want to be looking at just things that are like over 55-ish. If it's below 55, well, it has to be an insane pick rate to be interesting if it's below 55, I would say. Season 33, what do we have in season 33 right there? Okeanos pick rate close to a 55 though. I did not notice Okeanos was that strong in the season 33. That is a thing. Misty over there. It's just below. I think we will not count it simply because it's already lower. Well, pick rate is decent, but he's not really like the crazy outstanding thing out there as well. Funny enough, also Okeanos did not get a nerf since that. And he's still kind of meta, but he also kind of shifted out of meta, I would say. Season 32, what do we have? Zeratul. And Zeratul, also, no 55 win rate, not a crazy amount of pick rate. Same for the Laura over here. Like, Laura's getting a little bit closer with like a 17-ish pick rate. But it's not necessarily like, oh, that was the most OP thing out there. Like, there were a bunch of units on pretty high strength at that time. And it's nowhere near like the actual win rates that we're showing over here. I would say that the Laura on the 17 kind of comes close. I'm not even sure if this is Laura peak, but let's just put in the Laura. And just to have some more numbers of reference to be working with. Because that one, the Laura, is kind of outstanding. The Tianlang also, but since they're same win rate and Laura was a bit more picked, I'm going to be picking out the Laura from this one. But they're both kind of on edge of like, are they like participants for the strongest of all times? Like they're definitely the lower tier of the strongest of all times. But just to get some more data in, because I actually haven't really looked at this data yet, and I have no clue how many units will actually be participants for this quest over here. What do we have in this season over here? Season 31. Season 31 seems to be Han season. Yeah, but not like a crazy amount of pick rate. Zenizek, Sonia's good. Sonia win rate over there. But it's even lower than the win rate of the Lauren on the previous one. So let's move on. Season 30. What do we have on season 30? Good old Dominic. That has been a while. Also, Laura once again does pop up in multiple seasons. So Laura does kind of gather like a strongest of all value. But we have to mention this was the season where Gianna got her buff. Pretty sure that this was the original Gianna buff where Gianna got the buff for stunning when not stripping, but then at 100% rate. And it's mainly because of the pick rate being that high, where she becomes like a value for one of the strongest of all time. And it's still lower than what Laura was in the other season. But hey, that's some crazy numbers right there for an LD5 to be picked like close to 20% time. But Laura, once again, is a higher win rate in the end. It's by a little bit less of pick rates as well as the season 37 or the 32, but still pretty substantial right there. Season 29er. Is this Veronica peak? No, this doesn't seem Veronica peak, but that is a nasty Veronica win rate right there. Wait, was this even a Gianna peak over there? I kind of guessed, like, it's too bad that it doesn't show the dates over here. I feel like that Gianna wasn't buffed that. Or wait, was this when Gianna did not get the nerf yet on the S1? That could also be a thing. Let me check for season 30 if I can find the Lima win rate. Well, too bad that this part of the site ain't working anymore, but that would have been nice to check that back. No, I was checking a tier list of season 30, which seems to be, oh, this is P1 focus. Do I also have this one? Yeah, it's just Gianna at the top, but there was no Lima to be found. Lima was already nerfed over here. So I think it was the Gianna buff kind of style over there for the season 30 tier list. So it might be the original Gianna buff right there. Well, let's move on to season 29. Oh, let's put this to around 2000 again. G3 data. And we're looking at win rates. Veronica. Was this the time where Veronica was even that much of a common unit? Season 29. I'm kind of checking in the tier list as well. No, the tier list, they actually did not really place it that high. She was sitting over there, so maybe it was just like a few specific cleaves. So wouldn't necessarily claim this as, well, it is a Maximilian high season as well. I think that this is the time where people were using Maximilian, Veronica, Nikki as main cleave. So It was good, but it was good, very hard LD carried good. And then win rate is pretty darn high, but I don't think that this is Veronica prime time. So I'm not going to list this as a Veronica 1 just yet. This looks a little bit more Veronica prime right there. Season 28. Now we're looking at real numbers. Veronica, season 28. I'm not sure if this was the first Veronica season, to be honest. But this win rate is definitely something to write home about. Like, yo, what the hell is going on this pick rate right there? So this for the win rate. 11 pick rate is not crazy high, but keep in mind the unit was just released at that time. So therefore it had to have like a little bit less people actually having her. But that is some pretty strong. And I think we're going to see more Veronica like higher up later as well. But let's see about that. Okay, never mind. Laura is once again added into the table. So Laura over here, let's just add it like this if there's multiple seasons. This over here, Laura on a, man, that's some insane win rate right there. And the pick rate is going to be this, like the pick and the win, both of them, that's some insane number right there. Yeah, that's, wow. That a real number right there. That feels stronger than, no, that is actually straight up stronger than this Aragon. It's higher in pick rate, and it's higher in win rate. Oh, no, wait, slightly less in pick rate, but higher in win rate. But this is also kind of at the time where I'm not 100% sure. It might be that around season 27 is when it happened, where we could not queue as G3 people into G1s anymore. And that really elevated the win rate of a lot of units. As you can see over here, some of these units have like crazy elevated win rates because we're not playing G3s as G3s. We were playing G1s and G2s as G3s. So for that reason, I think starting from season 27, win rates are a little bit harder to compare to like the ones afterwards because people in the higher ranks were getting upwards of probably somewhere along the lines of like a 70 or 65% win rates, which you currently don't see as much. At least it happened at some point. I'm not sure at what point that exactly happened, but let's just take over the numbers and let's see how far we get. So once again, Laura season 26, even a higher win rate than the previous one, which is just, that is just nasty right there for the Laura win rate right there. I would have to give an honorable mention towards this Wajet as well, because this Wajet, for being this much picked and that much of a first pick at that time as well, I think that is Wajet prime time. Wajet was really strong at Wajet prime time. Though so far, Wajet has the highest pick rate for any LD5 in a particular season right here, because he was first picked that much. Well, let's check out next season. We still have a few seasons to go through, but I definitely do think we get into seasons right now where people just could queue into other things. Genny Hathor. Wow, is Genny Hathor that far back? Well, that was a semi-Genny Hathor thingy. It was not like the crazy Genny Hathor, because it didn't have that much of pick rate. It was, I guess, just a Veronica Genny Hathor kind of style. But once again, Veronica mentioned one more time. So let's just move this one over there, and then also give her a season 25, which not the craziest of pick rates, but still fair bit of pick rate right there. And next season, I guess, was the Onyuki season, but I think the Onyuki season was together with the Gurkha season, and that is kind of the thing with the Gurkha season. The Gurkha season itself was that short, because Gurkha was good for one patch and then nerfed the next, so he never had a full season where he was actually good. So I think where people think that the Gurkha is probably one of the highest on the list, because of the win rates shifting back and forth for one season being really good, next season being bad again, it might not be that he had a full season where he was actually good. So Onyuki over here is a honorable mention, but I think I placed it in like 55% with the 10%. That is good numbers. I think this was also where you mostly paired it with like a Nana and those kind of things. It was probably SWC 2022 in Korea, I think, which was pretty much the battle of Onyuki versus Gurkha. Gurkha won. This was also the moment I put the Onyuki as one of the highest in the tier list. And let's go over the tier list in a second later as well. I put it on one of the highest in the tier list, and someone started complaining, like, if you get my unit nerfed because you put it at number 1 in the tier list, I'm gonna quit the game. Onyuki got nerfed later. Well, definitely not because of my tier list, but because the unit was OP, therefore it's at the top of the tier list. Like, cause and effect, what is the thing that happened first, right? And then he replied, or like he went to his alt reply, and he went like, I'm quitting the game because of you. It's like, I have nothing to do with what's getting buffed or nerfed, brother. I have zero influence in that shit. Yep, here is where we have Gurkha. And as you can see by pick rate, it is not that much. But this was Prime Gurkha. It was around the same time, yeah. Yep, Ongyuki Prime and Gurkha Prime was around the same time. Once again, Ongyuki is actually pretty good in this season as well. So that's season 23, but also a 22. He was pretty much still rocking similar numbers for pick and wins. He was never on a 20% plus kind of unit, which like the Gianna was at some point, the Laura was at some point, the Dark Aragon is right now, but still pretty substantial numbers. But definitely we're going to add season 22 for the Gurkha as well. Once again, not the highest of pick rates though, which actually does kind of surprise me that his pick rate is not that crazy. But that might also be that he was good half of the season, and then the other half of the season he was not picked at all. Then some more Veronica season, it seems. Also, once again, back to a Gianna season. I think that season 22 might be the time where Oracles was still like full on prime. Also, Gurkha over here. Maybe Gurkha had longer than one season. Seems to be. Or these were like the overlapping seasons. So season 22, he was good. Season 23, he was good. Oh, wait, this was 23. This one was 22. So if you would overlap the seasons better, he might have had like an insane number over here, but it doesn't look like crazy much because I think he was good halfway in this season and halfway in that season, and therefore the pick rate was never super high. But yeah, this is definitely at the time where you could queue into lower players as a high-ranked player, and therefore the win rates of everything was just higher in G3 in the first place. Few more seasons to go, and then we're gonna look at the tier list to see what they overlap. This was the Lima season. This was the season I got Lima nerfed. Well, Ongyuki was good for a long time as well. Holy hell, Ongyuki's still over there. But yeah, Lima had like crazy win rate. Actually, Gianna and Lima. This was my favorite season. Can we go back to season 21, please? This is also the highest pick rate we have seen so far on a particular unit in G3. The 34. Did we see that on Laura? No, Laura never got like close to 30. That is insane though. I miss good old Lima. Lima was so fun back in those days. Also, right now, the set that I had on that Lima right now would not even be upgraded at the moment because that was such an old set. And I never really farmed triple revenge runes ever since. And it's also not something I use on events or anything. So, yeah, that set would still be the same, like a 187 or something triple revenge. But had some good artifacts and that kind of stuff on it. Plus, it was soloing a bunch of units. I think the main reason it got nerfed is my Lima soloed a Ongyuki, Ragdoll, Nana, plus one other unit. She just soloed the whole thing with just revenges and getting skill 3 back all the time. I had fun. The enemy not as much. Also, I don't have the clip of that because I was kind of hiding my strategies back then. So, was also a strong Dominic season. I think that might be... Wait, where's the Oliver season, to be honest? Because let me just check that later on because... Where's Oliver Prime? I expected Oliver Prime to be somewhere over here as well. Not that much of pick rate, though. That is definitely a thing. So maybe because of the low pick rate. Now, let's just remove this. Like, it's nowhere near an Oliver Prime, most likely. But I gotta find where the Oliver Prime is. But I'll just check that from the tier list and then backtrack towards this itself. Yeah, this was the Nana Prime. Nana Prime is definitely mentionable, though. That is just absolutely absurd how strong Nana Prime was. But as mentioned, these are definitely elevated win rates due to being able to queue into G1s. But the pick rate of Nana, though, that was an insane pick rate right there. Also, once again, Gianna has been too good for too many seasons. So, to be honest, I'm totally fine if they nerf Gianna to the ground. Like, she was bad for a few seasons. And then at some point they were like, nope, let's buff her again for kind of no reason. I don't even know why. Yep, even over here with the prior Nana one, it's still like insane win rate for these two units. Also, this was the core GT and Desheng meta. This was actually when GT and Desheng was one of my most wanted units out there. Even a 41% pick rate on Gianna. That is also absolutely absurd and unheard of. Okay, let's now actually take the tier lists. And let's see where Oliver Prime was at. And then let's look at the win rate that he had at that time. Damn, I made a lot of tier lists. This dates back to Season 11 tier list. Ragdoll, Gianna at the top. Season 13, Ragdoll, Gianna, Yeonhong, Artemis at the top, with the Nefty still being pretty high up. Jaeger was good at that time as well. Season 13 is so long ago. Season 14, Ragdoll, Gianna, Artemis at the top. That Beast Rider meta over there, been a while. Then we had the more meta, Season 16, with Ragdoll still at the top, Gianna a little bit lower, but still kind of same. Gianna, Ragdoll at the top. It's been a lot of Gianna, Ragdoll at the top. I think Ragdoll kind of started falling off a little bit around like season 18, season 19. But let's see over there. Yeah, this is where Ragdoll kind of started shifting more towards the bottom. Lulu at 100 tier. Ain't no way that Lulu was at 100 tier, man. That's just stupid. Lulu just being stronger straight up than Gianna. But that was also the thing. Lulu was a stupid hard counter on Gianna itself. Then we had the Nana meta. Wusa was super high up as well. Oh, that was the season where Wusa just got the buff. I guess that Nigong should have been high up here. No, Nigong was actually kind of low over here. Interesting. Surprised that one was a bit lower, but still Nana meta. Nana meta in the season 21. Yep, this one is correct. Over here, we had this. This was also where Oliver already came up as first, so that was, I guess, first Oliver buff, so it should be 21 or 22, where it was Oliver Prime. Let's see if we can also find that in the numbers over here by most amount of played. Yep. Not crazy on the win rate, though. Like, I'm not impressed by the amount of win rate. Oh, wait, that's not G3. Show me G3 win rates. Okay, yeah, no, that is where Oliver Prime. I think all of these win rates of so many units was just high, so did not really see this, but I definitely want to see some Oliver Primes in there. That was a season 21. You guys can't see it, it's just out of the screen, but it is season 21 on a 60 point. that thing was just perma-picked. It was Oliver or Nana. Those things were just perma-picked, man. Yeah, that's also where Marsha came into play a little bit after. Still Oliver. Oliver had a good reign for a long time. Okay, let's see how far the Oliver reign of most picked is holding on. Season 23 is what we're looking at right now. Yep, still Oliver remaining. I guess that the win rates of all of these units was just kind of high at the moment for the reason that I just explained, where G3 could play into G1 and therefore our win rates were just higher in the first place. Season 24 is what we're looking at right now. I guess that's Oliver was already getting a bit of a nerf over here, but still, looking at those win rates and pick rates is just absurd, man. Oliver is gonna have a lot of these things in there. Still over 50 pick rate. Season 25, Oliver still most picked. Yep, Oliver still most picked. You see him slowly dropping in win rate throughout the season, so it's like time and time, it's like a little bit of a nerf over there, a little bit of a nerf over there, a little bit of a nerf over there, but it's just chipped nerfs all the time. Like, even now, Oliver is still like a 50% pick, or like a 50% win rate unit. Definitely not 50% picked, but Oliver has the longest reign of being a meta core unit. So, okay, this is kind of where he starts falling off. Season 26, that's where we see some more reasonable numbers, 51-ish win rate. This is also where the Wojjet meta started. Is this also where I locked in the Wojjet over here? Yep. This is definitely... It even shows higher over here than what I written down earlier, right? Does it? No, that's the exact numbers that I... No, the win rate seems higher. Why is that win rate higher than what I locked down earlier? But that is an insane win rate, to be honest. I'm not too sure at what season it happened where the win rates just started being more average. Yeah, I think that was the one Wojjet season where Wojjet had like a really good shine. Also, Tian Ling in this one had a pretty good shine, to be honest. That was a nasty win rate right there. But as you can see, everything is kind of like far above win rate. Why is this also showing higher right now than the thing that I was showing before? That's kind of interesting because that Laura win rate... I haven't seen a Laura win rate. Oh, no, wait, that's season 27. That's correct. So let's move on the tier list. So I think we kind of figured out all of meta. Season 22 was Veronica, 105, and Gurkha, 100. I did mention Gurkha over here for the 22. Let me see what I have for Veronica on 22. Season 22, highest of win rates, and then G3 data. Oh, it was not picked that much. Yeah, it was just not picked that much, so therefore I think I just excluded it with the number of units out there, but win rate, pretty absurd, but still, this is one where I look more at Gurkha than Veronica. It's a really good unit. I guess just people didn't have it as much at that time or something. I'm not really sure why the pick rate is not that much, because that's... If I put a unit at 105, I think I only put 3 or 4 units at 105 ever. So if we go back, first unit that I put at 105 ever was Veronica. let's just keep that in mind and let's just see further on. So this was an LD tier list, so that's more of like a global tier list, normal elemental tier list 2023. Then we had Ongyuki meta on the season 23. Yep, makes sense over here. Still where Veronica and things were pretty strong, but not as like OP and oppressive. This one I did not actually save as a name. Still my image. This is the exact same? Yes, just the exact same. So season 25. Season 25 is the one I mentioned over here for that as well. Nikki was always kind of like on edge of being one of the strongest, but wasn't really. Then we had the SWC season. I even put Wajet at 106. Yep, that's exactly that season over there. That is a representation of that over there. Wajet was one of the strongest units, and from all of the strong units, Gianna was never first pick material. Laura was never really first pick material. Dark Aragon is only the first pick material against other Dark Aragon users, but otherwise, definitely not first pick material. But Wajet was always first pick material, and that got him the one above, all pretty much on the tier list, 106. And I don't think I paid any unit on 106 ever outside of the Wajet, and I don't think it will happen anytime soon. Season 27 by Chat. Okay, this was an absolute messed up tier list. I put this one as, I don't know. Elemental tier list 2024. This is where we go for RTA season 28. So we're jumping a bit. Veronica the one. Yep, that was Veronica meta once again. Together with Laura and Nikki, and Maximilian was pretty high up as well. But Maximilian was really carried by the others, as far as I remember. LD4 tier list. Normal elemental tier list. Chandra Velajul cigar meta. I still think, to be honest, let me know in the comments if you agree. Chandra Velajul cigar meta felt as the most stable meta where nothing was like really super crazy OP. So that's kind of representing with nothing on the 100. Chandra and Laura were pretty close though. But yeah, this was the Chandra Velajul cigar meta. This was also the first meta that was not super Oliver heavy. And then also enabling a bunch of normal elemental units. Jujutsu Kaisa. Season 31 that we have over there. But this was P3 to G1 more. So that's a little bit more LD heavy in most cases. Season 30, Season 31. Gianna over there. This is one of the... Yeah, this was, I guess, the last one where Gianna was over there on this win rate. And afterwards, Gianna started going down a bit. Sonia, actually... Oh, no, wait. This is just an elemental tier list. Not an RTA tier list. LD tier list for that. A normal elemental 2A tier list. LD4 tier list. My most wanted tier list. Did I pull any of the most wanted that I had on these lists so far? I pulled the Light Gojo, which was a high wanted at that time. The moment I pulled Light Gojo was actually a most wanted, but did not get any of those. Also, you and you, definitely not most wanted. You, definitely not most wanted. These three, still most wanted. Most wanted does tend to switch around, and this is like a year and a half ago. Laura, 105, season 32. Yep, right over there. Laura has been a stable factor throughout a lot of seasons. I think Gianna and Laura are pretty much for the longevity of multiple seasons being OP. They are the highest up by a long shot. Season 33, a bunch of other stuff. Season 35, yep, this was the Hwoarang that I also mentioned over here. Hwoarang, also Oliver just made a comeback. Fucking Oliver, man. Oliver had such a reign of so many seasons being good. Global Net 5. Global Net or Global LD5, Global tier list, Most Wanted tier list. Still these three. Outside of the Light Nina, not as much. Like she had one good season. She was Phantom carry, to be honest. Then we had Eretion season 36. We're currently in season 37, but I'm gonna wait until the balance patch to make a season 37 tier list. So that will be, I think I will do it like 1 or 2 weeks after the balance patch happens. Maybe 2 weeks after. Kind of also depends like how well the balancing changes, or does it change a lot or not. I think that this is still pretty relevant for the current tier list as well. I would definitely say Aragon goes straight to 105. Maybe, well, no, straight to 101. I wouldn't place him 105, I think. Would I place him 105? I kind of feel like he's 105 value as well, to be honest. This one goes down, that one goes down. This 100% goes down. And what else goes up? You definitely would be more of a 95er in my opinion. And then besides that, I'm not 100% sure. So this is kind of the list we have out of... Well, this is going to be very hard to read. Let me just actually put this on the screen more in the middle. And let's do it like this, and let's do it like this. So this is everything. So, question to you guys in the comment section. What was the strongest unit of all times? In my opinion, Dark Aragon gets pretty darn close, but that is like a specific snippet of being the strongest of all times. In my opinion, I think let's rank them strongest of all times. Strongest of all times. And we have the candidates of a Aragon. We have Vent, Han, Erasion, Huareng. We have Gianna, Laura. And that is on a specific moment, not like the longevity of being OP. Because longevity of being OP, then we have Gianna, Oliver, and those kind of things super high up. Veronica, Ongni. Just gonna write it like that. It is kind of wrong. No, something. This will do closest. Widget. Lima, Gurka, Nana. Oh, she was damn strong as well. They already write Oliver in there. Oliver. And that is about it. So let's order, in my opinion, strongest to weakest out of the strongest at their particular prime time. Ooh, hard to say. I think I'm gonna go for Widget 1. Because Widget, I also put it at the 106 tier list. And main reason, it was first pickable. And that was just the main thing. He was first pickable, and that just makes everything so much stronger. Number 2, oh, we would have to check. Keep in mind that after season 3, I think like around 27, win rates are a little bit like elevated based on us playing, or like G3 players playing against G1 players. So win rates, like right now, a 56 is a lot stronger than a 56 like way back. So I guess Dark Aragorn is a second place for me. Because in current season, getting a 56 win rate, that is just absolutely insane. Because if you check back then, a lot of units were like 54, 53. Right now, a lot of units are just straight up like 50s. This thing is 56 by itself. That's just insane. So I think Dark Aragorn gets a second place for me. Or does he, though? I think he does. I think he does. Number 3 is going to be Veronica Prime for me. Veronica was just also such a menace. The cold, like if she moved, game is over. And that's the thing with Aragorn as well. If Aragorn moves and things are stripped, game is over. Thing is, if Veronica moved by itself, game was over in the first place. Does that make Veronica stronger though? Not necessarily, because I think the bruiser potential in the Aragorn was just better than Veronica. I think after that, we gotta give it to the next unit that if she moves, game is over. Or if he moves, game is over, was Gurkha. Thing is that Gurkha was playable on a lot of things, but the thing is, against Gurkha, you could play a playstyle where Gurkha just doesn't move. And you could keep perma immunity up and those kind of things, and it was hard to work with. Whereas these units have so many side units that kind of prevent that it's not as strong. So I would go for Gurkha over there. Then it gets a bit more difficult for me, because a lot of units are kind of close to one another on prime time, in my opinion. But I think I gotta give it to Oliver. Oliver Prime, where he was stacking damage, and then actually rocking crit rate on him and that kind of stuff. That was just so incredibly stupid. Plus, once again, he had first pick potential, which just makes Oliver an absolute menace to deal with. Super freaking dumb and strong. I think right after that, we're gonna give a Laura. And that was Laura when she could multiple cycle S1, had double turn for, I think her speed buff was 2 turns, her defense buff was 2 turns. A lot of additional damage cycling at that time already. Crazy, stupidly strong. Then after that, I gotta give it to Gianna. Also stupidly strong for her core meta. But the thing is, Gianna's maybe a little bit harder to see because Gianna was good at that many seasons. But in this case, I would more refer to season 30, where season 30, so let's also just put that in there in which season it was. So season 30 for this. Laura's strongest, I would say also season 32. Oliver Prime was more of the season. Then it would have to be season 31. Gurkha Prime was probably, well, in between season 22 and 23. Veronica Prime looks more like season 25. Dark Aragorn is season 37. With Jet Prime, we're looking at season 26. Then after that, I think either Lima or Ongi, but I think I'd rather give it to Ongi because Lima was still, it was niche. Not that many people actually picked it up that had a Lima that was working with it. Whereas the Ongi just had to smack in an Ongi plus a Nana and shit was just dying straight up. Which I think I also go for Nana after this because Nana was just stupidly strong in her season as well. Which was around season 2021. Then I think after that, I'll give it to the Huarang. Very stupidly strong and hard to kill in season 35. Then after that, I'll give it to the Eresion season 35 because, or 36, because that was just, the win rate and the pick rate was just absolutely insane. No, I actually would even say that this one above this. Yeah. Then after that, I would probably give it to the Venton, also season 36. But Venton, to be honest, was very elevated by Eresion being that good at that time. Even though I would rather first pick Venton than Eresion at that time. That was actually kind of true as well. I think it was more like 35 and 36. And then as final bits, I'm going to give it to the... wait, this is also definitely not how you do the counting. This, and then a Lima all the way at the end, which is going to be just one season, season 21. That's a long time ago. In my opinion, these were the strongest of all times in order. Dark Aragon is going to get a number 2, and therefore I do expect definitely a nerf on that. Hope you did enjoy this video of just yapping a little bit about like old metas and those kind of things. Let me know in the comments if you do agree on this list and also do like this kind of yapping kind of videos. If so, I'll probably make more of those. If not, I probably don't. Simple as that. It's just, life is so simple sometimes. Guys, thanks a lot for watching for this one. Let me also know in the comments which meta is the meta you actually missed the most. For me, meta I missed the most, season 21 Lima. I definitely do really miss that one. And Chandra Vela Cigar meta. To be honest, I really did kind of enjoy this. Like looking at all of the metas we had recently, Chandra Vela Juice Cigar, I did enjoy a lot more. Well, let's see what we get for next season. Guys, thanks a lot for watching. See you as always in the next one.
Thanks for watching. If you would like to see more guides, join the Discord and check out the content tab for the guide video archive, which contains all of the guides that you might need. Hope to see you there.